are you doing everything solo?
Yeah, I own all my businesses 100%, but I've considered partnership in some of my businesses, and I've gone down that path
Mhm.
also, and was very poor in my judgment. But luckily, I got pulled out of it. I had the awareness or talk to the right people. But yeah, I mean that's something definitely shiny object had a big influence on me. Just kind of watching someone portray themselves on social media, how successful they are, and I got sucked into it. But luckily talked to the right people and then was able to pull out of some deals at the right time. But yeah, I don't have good, like, just being very candid, I don't have good judgment on, like, sometimes when I'm thinking about partnering up with people. I own 100% of all my businesses, but yeah, that's something, down the road, if I need to partner up, I need to get other more experienced expert people involved that can keep me in my lane.
Yeah, it's super powerful. I see we have a few responses. Let's see a few more responses we're kind of on the fence right now, of like yes and no. I kind of want to see like where a majority lies. We need a larger sample group.
All right, everyone, let's share kind of what you guys think. Are you clear on, your partnership? If you want to partner up with someone, kind of what your criteria is, or you're not. Yeah, like I mentioned, I'm not. That's something I've struggled with, and I still feel like I'm not 100% clear on that. If and when that opportunity were to come.
Thank you. I see we have a few more responses. And this is actually really great for a lot of you who have not, you're still, like, hey, we're doing this on our own. Maybe it's a husband, wife, and that's a really powerful beginning. I will tell you, good partnerships are so much fun, and it lightens the load and you can scale really, really well. So I would highly encourage you with pursuing partnerships. Would you guys would it be helpful to talk about partnerships for a moment and some criteria that, that my company has created around partnerships? I don't want to go off on a tangent on a shiny object if that's not going to serve you well. So yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, I will let you know. We have really created, just like we were like, have zeroed in on exactly what we're investing, exactly who our investors are going to be, right? So we invest in residential units across America. I'm actually market agnostic because I'm partner driven. So I'll get into that when we talk about partnerships. We only offer the 506B offerings. So now, like, clarity. Now, when we go into partnerships, here's the criteria that we've concluded is that we only do partners. We only choose to enter into a partnership where we have known the person we're partnering with for at least 1 year, like minimum. Anybody can, like even a year, people can kind of shine you on. And so let me see. Yes, when I say partners, Alex, I would say any type of partnership at all. If that's a joint venture, if it's a general partnership on a syndication, anyone that you are locked into an agreement with for a prolonged period of time, that is your partner. And so you really want to know who they are. So we love to see people for at least a year. We like to watch them and get to know them better. So number 1 year, and that can create a lot of pain. Yeah. So
Hey, Julie, just if you can just go over like what is 506B offering, just so that everybody on the call knows what that is.
Yes, thank you. All right, so there are lots of different offerings that we can offer people, right? To investors to come into syndications. They are regulated by the Security Exchange Commission, which is called the SEC. So when you hear people say that, and it just sounds like us all together, but it's SEC, Security Exchange Commission. So we can operate without having special licensure. So if we were to go in and sell securities like stocks and such, we'd actually have to have, different licenses. But we can operate and trade this commodity, this real estate commodity, through different vehicles. So Regulation D gets broken down into 506C, which is for accredited investors only. And the upside of that is that you can actually advertise 506C. You can put it all over social media, and you don't even have to know your investors at all. Like, they could just simply click on your website and go and, sign up and invest with you. But it's limited only to accredited investors. So that means we have some of the ways you can be accredited. You can have a net worth of $1 million or more. You could have an income, average annual income of $250,000 or more if you're married, and you're expecting to make that year over year. So that would be 506C accredited only. We prefer 506B as in boy, or better, we like to say, because sure, the accredited investors can come into our offerings, into our investments. The cool thing is they can self-verify, so they don't have to go through a third party like they would on a 506C. And that can actually be a headache. I have a farmer, and it's kind of a headache for farmers, and depending on what your industry is, it can take a little bit of effort to put everything on paper. So on a 506B, it's open to sophisticated and accredited investors alike. And by sophisticated, it means, hey, you have a relationship with whoever is presenting you that offering. And this is why we always get to know our investors first. One of the many reasons. So you have a relationship with whoever is presenting that investment to you. And you need to demonstrate that you have some knowledge, you need to understand what this process is so that you are qualified, right, to make that investment decision for yourself. And so they want to make sure the heart behind this whole regulation for 506B was sort of to protect, I say this loosely, to protect perhaps we'll say the middle class from being taken advantage of and scammed by ill-willed people. And so that is important, right? I had a Walmart store. It did not work out well. If I would have understood more, if I would have been more sophisticated in my knowledge and my understanding, and if I would have vetted that, partner better, I would have made a different choice. So there is a correlation between that story and this whole concept of a 506B sophisticated investor. So knowing, how does the syndication process work? How does this business plan on this particular investment work? And do I trust these general partners to actually steer the ship in the direction and execute on their business plan? Is that helpful?
Yep. No, that's super helpful.
Yeah. It is really important to understand that. For us, we always like to know, the other element of not having a 506C for us, just to go down that a little bit further, is we don't want strangers. No, we just don't want strangers in our investment community. We want to know who people are. How can we advocate as general partners, if we're deciding if we want to sell or dispose of an asset, or if we want to refinance it or recapitalize it or anything, right? If we're thinking about those decisions, we really truly need to understand what are our investor goals. So if somebody's just some stranger off the street investing, I'm not going to be able to advocate and say, actually, my investors are looking for I know what my investors are looking for right now. And I can say, this is what they're looking for. This is why they chose that deal. And I can speak and represent them, because passive investors have no voting rights. They are passive. They're limited in their capacity, and they are entrusting everything about they're entrusting that general partner that they're investing with to represent their voice at the table. So we just believe that you can't adequately do that unless you actually have phone calls and conversations with your investors.
Would you say it's almost like 506B would be like your relational money partners, and 506C is more like transactional? They could be relational also, but they could also be transactional. But 506B they would all be relational, your money partners. in the business.
That's a great way of putting it. And we could even go
Okay.
as far as
Yeah.
to say the SEC would say that you have to have a pre-existing substantive relationship with someone before they come into your offering. There's a lot of chatter about that, so I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole.
No, yeah, we don't want to get too technical, but I just wanted to kind of, help you explain, so just kind of everybody knew, what 506p was.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Yeah, so when we're choosing partners, right, we think, how long have I known this person? And your criteria, establishing your own criteria, even if you're like, man, I don't know that I'll ever partner with someone. Just even giving yourself the space to think about that, because when that opportunity presents itself, because it more than likely will at some point in your investing journey, especially if you want to scale your investments, more than likely at some point you are going to be joint venturing or going into some type of partnership. So creating this type of criteria, even if you're like, oh, Julie, I'm just at the beginning, I don't know that this applies to me. Thinking about it is just helping prepare you for your future in a very powerful way. So just consider, how long do I think it's important for me? Julie says her company, it's a minimum of a year, but maybe I feel comfortable with 6 months, or maybe I need 2 years. So like having that understanding for yourself. The second thing that is important to us is we want to meet people in person. So all of our partnerships are people that we have met. I spend a lot of money traveling to events and going to events. If you're not attending events, you need to be going to events. I cannot overemphasize how going to events will catapult your investing. I don't say that naively either. I've literally watched this transpire over years now with people who've gone to events. I was speaking at an event, or emceeing last week an event. I watched some people go from, I don't even know why I'm here, I just came with my husband, to just this whole evolution of, you can't even recognize a person, like the amount of expansion that takes place. Here's the other benefit. When you go to events and you're considering partnering with someone, now you can see, how do they carry themselves? How do they conduct themselves? Is that similar to, how I want to be perceived? Some people might say this is too technical or too particular. However, anyone you're partnering with is also a reflection of you, your company, your brand, whatever it is that you're building. And so if you're associated with somebody that carries themselves in a way that is wonderful and is like a great representation, how's that going to reflect on you? It's going to be like, oh my gosh, you're partnered with them? Like, yes, I want to know more about what you have to offer. It can really be a help, or it can be a potential hindrance. So going to events, you get to learn, you get to meet really great people, and you get to see how people carry themselves, conduct themselves. You get to break bread with them. It's a very critical moment. And the third element of our partnerships is collaborate on something small and petty. And, if you're in the single family space and maybe you're wholesaling or something along those lines, that might look like, hey, you know what? Let's just throw barbecue. Let's throw a barbecue at the park or at our house or whatever. Just do something that has really a very nominal cost associated with it, so that you can see how you do collaborate together. Nobody else is involved. There's not much money on the table if it's a barbecue. Like you do something where you're creating content. For me, I'll have people on my podcast and such. You do something where you just see, do they show up on time? What's their attitude like? And you're communicating and you're seeing, does this work? Does it work? Does it work? Again, that has a very small price tag to it compared to, we're in the deal for the next 3, 5, 10 years. So getting to know people and vetting them up front paves the way. And now those partnerships, when your phone rings or you have to, hop on an asset management call, you're actually happy to see each other. And you're actually able to work through. There will be hurdles, there will be challenges that come up. And so when you have those type of relationships, you're able to really collaborate and create a better outcome. Because I will assure you once again, and I think everyone's going to agree with this one, as long as you hold real estate, for more than 2 weeks, you're going to have some hiccup happen to you. So it's good to be prepared and to know who am I in the foxhole with, and how are they going to respond when things aren't going, and are they going to be Jekyll and Hyde, or are they going to be a steady, consistent person that we're going to be able to work through this with?
Oh, I agree with you, actually, 100% on that. When I started out in the business, I used to go to the local REIA in Northwest Indiana, and it wasn't even like a conscious decision on, just being myself. I would talk to, I would network with investors. There's one investor, she had also been coming to the group for a few months, and I just mentioned that, hey, I'm buying properties, and I'm looking to, and I didn't even mention that I need some money. I said, eventually I would need some private money to scale. She's like, oh, I have some money if you're interested. I mean, you don't even know, going to these events, who has money, how they can help you. It's not just about money, or it's like about other things in the business that they can help you with. And having, like what you said is so, so true, that how you carry yourself makes a huge difference. It's such a small thing, the impression that you're making, especially if someone is going to partner up with you, someone is going to lend you money. Even I have other private money lenders. This one, common friend that, I have, we would hang out at my friend's house, and then, just talk about kind of, hey, this is what I'm doing. And he said, hey, I have some money that I would like to invest. Would you be interested? I'm like, great. But it's just about being myself, like being excited about what I'm doing. Those small things make a huge difference. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
That's absolutely huge. I mentioned I'm on the Canadian border. I live in a town of 2,500, and I've been driving an hour. There's another one. There are 2 meetup groups. One's, an hour away, one's an hour and a half away. But I've decided I'm going to dig my heels in and really support the real estate community, investing community where I live, loosely put where I live, right? Since I live far away from everything. But it's been super powerful to get to know and to create those alliances. And every connection we make, it's not a tit for tat, right? It's not like I give you $10, you give me $10 back type thing. It's like, oh my gosh, you know what? I gave Brady a connection, and then Brady somehow, now May's reaching out to me and Jesse's reaching out to me, and then I connected them up with, Kent, and everything comes back to us in some capacity when we're putting it out there and giving in life. And so, when you go to those type of REIAs and such, you'll meet a variety of people. And when you go with that go-giver mentality and you're just willing to support, you're going to get tenfold back every single time. Everything that you need when you need it. Yeah.
Yep.